Chapter 17. For once, the cacophony of LA traffic and Milo's nervous percussion on the steering wheel finally achieved what mechanics had deemed impossible, drowning out his convertible's cry for automotive euthanasia. "You okay?" Ava asked. "You haven't said a word since we left the house." Milo managed a weak smile. "Just wondering what's next. We've had power outages, makeup outages, and a lead actor whose emotional range makes a traffic light look nuanced." "At least you're not boring. Most directors I know just complain about lighting," Ava said. "Maybe you should rename the movie The Golden Catastrophe. It has a ring to it." Milo laughed, his first genuine laugh in days. "Maybe we should." She grinned. Milo pulled into the parking lot and they got out. The restaurant looked like it had been art directed by someone whose only reference for vintage diner was a collection of Edward Hopper paintings left out in the rain. A neon sign flickered half-heartedly, its dark letters transforming the Starlight Cafe into the Starlight CA, as if even the electricity was giving up. "Starlight Cafe," Milo said, noting her raised eyebrow. "The place has character." "So does the Phantom of the Opera, but I wouldn't want to have dinner with him," Ava said. "Trust me," Milo said. "The food is great." Once inside, they were seated in a vinyl booth that once had been butter yellow, but was now a faded beige. It had surely witnessed decades of Hollywood dreams, an eternal cycle of life, birth, death, and occasional resurrection, because that's how it works with IP. The restaurant reeked of decades-old grease, and a hint of something Milo hoped was just very strong cheese. Their server looked aged enough to have served Chaplin, bringing menus to the table that were older than most Hollywood starlets. Milo ordered something optimistically labelled Chef's Surprise, while Ava played it safe with a Caesar salad. Their server left the table and an awkward silence descended. Milo fidgeted with his napkin, folding and refolding until it resembled an origami swan suffering an existential crisis. "So, did you always want to be an actress?" "Well, I certainly didn't want to be a barista," she said. "It all started with E.T. I was 5, and Mum took me to a revival screening. I spent the entire movie convinced that if I could just get into that screen, I'd be in that world with Elliot." "Did you really want to phone home?" Milo asked. "Hell no. It was all about the Reese's Pieces." Milo laughed. "I saw the movie 10 times that summer, and from that moment on, I was hooked. I wanted to be a part of creating worlds that people could get lost in." "What about you, Milo? What's your origin story?" "Bullet," Milo said without hesitation. "Steve McQueen, that car chase. It was like nothing I'd ever seen. I must have rewound that VHS tape 100 times, trying to figure out how they made it all work." He mimicked camera movements and cuts with a flurry of his hands. "There's this shot where McQueen's Mustang catches air over a hill." Milo nearly upended his water glass. "It's like whoosh, then bam, back on the ground." Ava leaned in, her eyes bright. "Didn't they have to reinforce the suspension for that?" "Exactly," Milo said, "and the way they cut between the interior shots and the external wide angles," Ava nodded. "It puts you right there in the car." They continued dissecting Bullet before moving on to Star Wars, The Goonies and Magnolia. But the time their food arrived, Milo thought I could marry this girl 3 times. The Chef's Surprise was a culinary Rorschach test that might have been meatloaf in a previous life, but it tasted delicious. And it came with fries, as did the Caesar salad. "And that's why Vertigo is clearly superior to Rear Window," Milo said, brandishing his fork like a conductor's baton. "Them's fighting words, Piven." Ava narrowed her eyes. "Next you'll be telling me that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the best Indiana Jones movie." "It's better than Dial of Destiny." He shrugged, spearing a French fry. Their debate raged on, neither of them noticing the sun sinking below the hills. "I'm telling you, practical effects have soul," Milo said, after they paid the bill and exited the restaurant. "CGI is just cold." "Oh, please, like that rubber shark in Jaws was the pinnacle of realism?" Ava snorted, playfully shoving his shoulder. That shark had character. The character of a bath toy with delusions of grandeur. Their laughter echoed down the street, a blink of pure joy that made the stresses of the past week feel like a distant memory. For a blissful moment, Milo was walking on air instead of cracked Hollywood pavement. But when they reached his car, he spied a figure in the shadows, the unmistakable silhouette of a trench coat with a fedora perched atop a head. "Oh, come on," he said. "Not now." "What's wrong?" Ava asked. "You're going to think I'm crazy," Milo said, his eyes still fixed on the shadowy figure. "Try me." "I think I'm being followed by someone in a trench coat and a fedora. They keep popping up everywhere. At the studio, outside my office, and now here." He expected Ava to laugh it off, tell him he was being paranoid, or that he'd been watching too many film noir marathons. Instead, her expression hardened as she scanned the area with an intensity not unlike a lioness searching for potential threats to her cubs, or an actress on alert for predatory producers. "Give me your keys." Her voice was low and urgent. "What?" "Your keys, Milo, now, and get in the car." Bewildered, Milo nonetheless complied. No sooner had he settled into the passenger seat than Ava gunned the engine, peeling out of the parking lot with a screech of tyres that would have had Steve McQueen beaming with pride. Milo yelped, clutching the dashboard when they careened around a corner. "What's going on?" "We're being followed," she said. Her eyes flicked to the rear view. "Black sedan, 3 cars back." Milo twisted in his seat, spotting the vehicle in question. It was gaining on them, weaving through traffic with a NASCAR driver's determination. He had a feeling Steve McQueen's bullet sequence was about to look like a Sunday drive. Ava navigated the streets of downtown LA, like someone who'd done all the stunt driving in Baby Driver, without bothering to put it on their resume. She took corners on 2 wheels, threaded through alleys that would make a motorcycle feel claustrophobic, and at one point drove up a flight of stairs. She remained eerily calm, hands steady on the wheel, eyes constantly checking the mirrors, all while Milo felt like his heart was trying to escape through his throat. After a few minutes that felt like a terrifying hour, she pulled into an underground parking garage, then killed the lights and engine. They sat in silence, listening to the tick of a cooling engine. I think we lost them," Milo said, unclutching his fingers from the seat. "Looks like it." Ava nodded, her posture relaxing slightly. "You okay?" "Am I okay?" Milo repeated incredulously. "Am I okay?" "That's what I said. Where did you learn to drive like that, and why did you react like you knew who they were?" Ava's posture shifted, her spine straightening as if she was about to deliver the kind of third-act revelation that begged for an Oscar nomination. The playful glint in her eyes had hardened into something that suggested she wasn't just playing Sarah anymore. She was starring in her own much darker film. "When did you first notice you were being followed?" Milo thought back, trying to pinpoint the first sighting. "I guess right around when I decided to make the Golden Path. But what does that have to do with anything?" "Everything," Ava said. "You should have told me sooner." "Told you what? You're not making any sense." She took a deep breath. "I'm going to tell you something, but you're not going to believe me." "Okay, but first we need to get somewhere public."